Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the world. My name is Zach Jones, although a lot of you probably know who I am. Welcome back to my channel, but if you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. A few weeks back, I did this presentation, 18 Animals of Africa, but I have been going through some of my old PowerPoint presentation videos, and in a few of them, like, the lighting wasn't very good, and I didn't get a chance to tell all of you the facts that I know. And while the last bit wouldn't bother anyone else, because I'm autistic, it irked me just a little. But I'm back again and I'm redoing some of my old PowerPoint presentations, and this one is 18 Animals of Africa. Now, Africa is legendary for its wildlife. In fact, there are more large carnivores and veggie mega beasts there than anywhere else on the planet. And I'm going to start with the largest carnivore in Africa, and also my favourite of the big cats, the lion. The African lion, as its name suggests, is found in Africa, but it's found on the grasslands of sub-Saharan Africa. Depicted in cave drawings, dating back a few million years ago, the lion's muscular body, beautiful mane, and deafening roar have inspired people for generations, from Richard the Lionheart, who was the King of England in 1189 to 1199, who led the Crusades, the Third Crusade, but also who fought the French when they invaded Normandy and Aquitaine, to the story of the Lion King and the Hogwarts founder, Godric Gryffindor, using a lion as his Hogwarts house sigil, because the lion has been shown to represent courage and bravery and valour. And the African lion is the second largest of the big cats, and it is the biggest predator in Africa. And it's also known as the king of the jungle or the king of the beasts, but I'll get to that bit later. And they have good reason to have this reputation, because a male lion can weigh as much as 3 adult men, has canine teeth that are about as long as my thumb, and also a bite force of just over 600 pounds per square inch. And they can even take on prey as big as elephants, but I'll get to that bit later. Because the lion is called, quite often called the king of the jungle, that is slightly inaccurate, because lions don't actually live in the jungle, they live out on the savannah. But of course they are also known as the king of the beasts. But in lion society, it's the females or lionesses that do 90% of the hunting. But I'll also get to that later. Lions are the only members of the cat family to live in large groups called prides. These usually consist of 7 adult males, 8 to 10 females and their young, but there is always one dominant male. Outsiders are never admitted into prides, and quite often, lions that are separated from their prides either die of hunger or attacks from other prides or their main enemies, spotted hyenas. Prides are extremely united, with very little fighting, even among the males. Very unlike the family I grew up in, we fought over pretty much everything. But, I mean, when I said about lionesses, the females, doing 90% of the hunting, I mean, that's mainly down to the fact that the male lion's bulky body and large mane are easy giveaways, but the males will help out where they can. And people often have this idea that the males are lazy and that it's the females that do all the work, when that is actually very untrue and quite sexist. Because the male lions do help out where they can, but especially like if you're the leader of the pride, you have a very difficult life. I mean, if you're the leader of the pride, you've got to keep order within the pride and protect the pride, but from threats like like hyenas and buffalo, but more than likely other males, and also pass off your genes to the next generation. And if you actually ever get close to a male lion that is the leader of a pride, you'll see he's more than likely covered in scars and scabs, and that is the tips of his canines have chipped away and have taken a beating from a rough life. And when two males fight, it can be a very frightening scene, and the fights can be brutal and could go on for hours, and the male, the leader of the pride, will have the most to lose, not only his crown or territory, but possibly his own life. And you'll probably notice here that there is a white lion. Now, the white lion is not its own separate species. It's actually a rare variant of the South African lion, and it's all down to a genetic disorder, which means they lack the pigments that give them colour. And the white lion was first recorded by Europeans in like the 1920s, but before then they were seen throughout South Africa for centuries, in fact, and they've been called like the White King of the Beasts, and there are legends about them saying that the white lion is a messenger of God and that they bring joy and prosperity. But unfortunately, until around the time of the 1990s, this almost caused their downfall, because white lions were hunted for their fur because it's so beautiful, but also so they could be sold through the illegal wildlife trade to be sold as either exotic pets, to disreputable zoos, to circuses, or even to a rich man's private collection. And that almost drove these animals to extinction in the 90s. But fortunately, we have learned from our mistakes, only just, and the white lion has been making a comeback. In fact, there's a special reserve just in the Kruger area of South Africa where white lions are quite often taken, relocated, where they'll be safe and better looked after. Because although, despite the fact that they are protected, they are still targeted. And there are white lions in captivity these days, but a lot of them are victims of inbreeding, which causes a lot of genetic disorders and a lot of health problems. And so that's one reason why white lions aren't bred in captivity these days as much. Probably the most famous example of white lion was from a famous Michael Napergo book that my mum read to me when I was little. It was called The Butterfly Lion, where a boy who was growing up on the African veldt, on the South African veldt, named Bertie, he adopts a white lion carved after its mother is killed. But when Bertie has to be sent to England to go to boarding school, the lion is sold to a French circus, but the French man looks after the lion, and eventually they do find each other again. I mean, I could go on for hours about that book and the plot, but I won't go into the full details, but it is quite a good story. When I said about lions taking on large prey, of course, while a lone lion can quite often be a good hunter of small game like antelope or warthogs, the full might of the pride means they can bring down larger prey. And the typical prey for lions is zebra, wildebeest, buffalo, antelope, but they do also take on large animals like giraffes and even elephants. I can't actually think of a single animal that has a greater range in prey size than lions. I mean, they'll take anything from an insect right up to an elephant. That's just the most phenomenal amount of power. Because lions work together. I mean, the lionesses work as a team to take out their prey. How they do it mostly is they have one lioness stalks towards their prey while the others act as like flankers to cut off any escape routes, and then they charge after their prey. And basically, if you escape from one lioness, you run right into another. Because, like all members of the cat family, lions have an amazing burst of speed, but they're not built for long chases. So they have to work together to be able to bring down their prey. And because quite often they grab a hold of it with their large front legs and stuff and their fierce claws, and they tackle it to the ground, and then they have to go for the throat and will suffocate their prey. And of course, probably the most dangerous animals that lions will hunt is Cape buffalo. I mean, Cape buffalo are one of Africa's biggest and most dangerous animals. And the reason why they're so dangerous is, they have thick hide, they live in herds of well over 200 animals, and also they have lethal horns that can snap a lion's spine, or they can just gore a lion. And if you think I'm over-exaggerating when I say that they are dangerous for lions to tackle, there is actually evidence of a lioness being head-butted and leaped right into the air by a buffalo to get her away from her calf. So they are quite frightening. As you can see here, lions have been documented tackling elephants. I mean, it's very rare that lions do hunt elephants, but desperate times will call for desperate measures. But once the lions have made a kill, it's time to feed. The males always eat first, followed by the females and the young cubs. And quite often, when lionesses take their cubs to a kill, they're usually about 8 to 10 weeks old, and of course the cubs finish the remains. And in fact, one lion can actually eat 110 pounds, 50 kilograms in meat at a single sitting, so that's half my body weight in one go. And of course, quite a lot of people, when they go and see lions in Africa, because quite often they just seem to find them a bit ridiculous when they're yawning in the shade, but that's all down to the fact that lions are, like all members of the cat family, are mostly nocturnal, which means they're mostly active at night, and that's mainly down to the fact that out in the savannas of Africa, it can be very, very hot during the day. So the lions prefer to hunt at night when it's cooler. But also, like all members of the cat family, lions have a reflective layer of cells at the back of their eyes called the platinum lucida, which reflects light and enhances their night vision. In fact, lions are said to have vision that's probably about 6 times more powerful than ours, especially at night. And that's what allows them to be so good at hunting at night. But also, lions across Africa have been known to kill more than 500 people every year. So they are confirmed man-eaters, but a lot of the time that's either if lions that are being hunted or are cornered protecting young, or more than likely if they're very hungry, and if people are just being incredibly stupid, which quite often leads to them being attacked. And unfortunately, lions are hunted by no species except for man, and over the last few decades, lion populations in Africa have dropped by about 30 to 40%. I mean, poaching for their fur and their bones is one problem, but also habitat loss, where a lot of their habitat is being either cut or burnt down to make way for farms or plantations or towns. But also ranchers are quite often, when lions have very little natural prey. They go for livestock, and this causes ranchers to go out and shoot them, even though